Well, hey everybody, it's Henry and Feather back at you here in the beautiful Santa Fe National Forest. We found a nice shady spot here. So, here we go. You're on, Feather.
All right. Now, in the last section of the video, I was talking about the three great earth-shaking events. And as you know, this one is World War I, this one's World War II, and this is the next of the third great earth-shaking events. And it's not known if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing or some of both. But it is going to happen pretty soon. So, and by the actions of humans, it depends what the outcome is going to be. Now, I wanted to go into a little more detail about the third great earth-shaking event and also the Great Purification that began after World War II, and it's come all the way up to here. This is 70 years or so. This is not a chronological thing at all. It's like so much distance means so many years at all. So the first way would have been that people would have realized that after the bombs were dropped, that it was a terrible thing to think that we should have nuclear power or bombs, and that the people of the world would rise up, and the governments also would be wise enough to know that it was very dangerous. But that didn't happen. And then the next way the Great Purification could happen is that some people on the earth would continue to be living in a peaceful and loving way, like the Hopis and many other indigenous people. And that if that percentage of people were able to be visible when the time comes when it's going to be almost impossible for families to feed their children and to be free and to be safe, that a lot of people very suddenly, very quickly, could decide that they wanted to save the earth and to live in a very simple, peaceful way. So that was definitely something that could happen. It's very possible, and that's what we're working for. It's so very important. And I don't know if you've heard the 100th monkey. This is similar. The 100th monkey theory is that it only takes a few individuals who may find a better way of doing things, and if they do, then eventually many people will see all of a sudden, oh wow, this is a better way to do it. So everybody would very quickly be able to change their lifestyles for one that was healthy and lived in balance with the planet, and everybody would help one another. But the third way that this this prophecy and the Great Purification would end is actually very dramatic and very powerful. And the Hopis said that at some point this mystery egg it's also called the mystery egg, that when the earth is so out of balance and everything is going topsy-turvy, that life on the surface of Mother Earth would be destroyed by nuclear holocaust and or environmental collapse. And that is also seen in many other prophecies: the Aztec, the Dene, Apache, Lakota, many Australian Aborigines, and many of the traditional people down in South America that live in the jungles, who live a really pure lifestyle. People all over, indigenous people all over, are trying to warn all of us on the planet that we have to make some changes, and quick. And all these things were prophesied by them. 1,000 or more years ago. These prophecies have been passed on this long. So it's a huge responsibility, it's a huge opportunity, and it may even be that, all these things are happening to wake people up, and that now will be the time that we can work together and accept each other as brothers and sisters. So this is really important. And the Hopis went to the United Nations 4 times from 1946 to 87. And in their prophecy, they were told to go to the eastern shore of Turtle Island, and to go to the house of Micah and talk to all the religious and political heads of the world about the prophecy, to warn everyone. Well, they arranged it. They traveled 4 different times over that, period, quite a few decades, to go out to the UN. And each time they would not let them speak before all the religious leaders and the heads of state. They wanted to put them in a little back room on a Sunday afternoon and have people come in that were interested in Indians just to listen to whatever quaint things they might tell them. They never allowed them to speak. And then in the prophecy, it was said that after the 4th time they were not to go back again. And that happened in 87. That was the last time. And when Grandfather came back home again, he was very, very despondent that the 4th time did not work.
You mean Grandfather David went to the UN 4 times?
4 times, along with a lot of the other elders. 4 times. So they were to go home and just get ready, grow their food and haul their water and just hunker down and get ready. So this is the warning that we have, and it's really important that we heed this warning. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you that's really important is this is, in my opinion, the best book that's ever been written about the Hopi. It's by Thomas Males, and he wrote for decades lots of really great stories about the Plains Indians especially. And it's called The Prophecies, Instructions, and Warnings Revealed by the Last Elders, the Hopi Survival Kit. This is Masao, the guardian spirit of the earth, and he's supposed to be
How do you pronounce his name again?
Masao. He's supposed to be very, very terrifying looking, but also very powerful and very good, doing the work, every day to keep the planet turning and traveling around the world 4 times, keeping everything in balance as best he can. And Thomas also wrote a book before this, a big coffee table book with lots of beautiful photographs in it, and that one's called Hotevilla, Shrine of the Covenant. And he worked with some of the elders, and when he went up there to Hopi land, it was a few years after Grandfather David had passed on, so he never did get to meet David. And he worked with Dan Evehema, who's another wonderful.
So is this author white, or is he native?
He is white. He is white. I think there's a picture of Dan in here. Yeah. This is Dan Evehema.
And he's the author?
No, he's the elder that the author, Thomas Males, worked with for years, and got all the information for this book.
Uh-huh.
And this is his daughter, Susie LaMotta, who helped take care of him. And she's painting a kachina in her hands.
This is Dan's daughter.
Yeah, Dan's daughter. And they all still lived in a traditional way. This is the first of many books. Oh no, this one's number 20. So the last few years that Grandfather's alive, him and the other elders decided that they wanted to put out their word of what was happening and to have a way that they could present to the people of the world the true teachings of the Hopis. So they had to hide. They had to hide and do it in secret because the Hopi police would try and come in and prevent them from writing these letters, these newsletters. But they were written over several years, and it's called, and I may be pronouncing it slightly wrong, Tikwa Ikacha Kachi, and that means land and life, the traditional viewpoint from the Hopi nation. And then this symbol is a Hopi symbol. It means all land and life kept in balance. Now this quote right here may remind you of what life is like now. This quote was quite a long time ago. They were writing it in the 70s and 80s. The time will come to pass when the minds of men will become deluded and the words of the wise will be ignored. When the influence from foreign sources has taken hold, the spirit within the native people of this land will wane, perhaps even be destroyed. We were warned of this by the prophets of old. So there's quite a few of these newsletters, and these were the traditional elders who wrote it. And then there's folks in Hopi land that are not traditional, that want the modern way, that live in cinder block houses, that they have their own way, and sometimes there's a lot of hard feelings between the two groups. There are even more groups. So I want to read a little bit. Oh, here's a good picture of Grandfather David.
Does it say how old he is in that picture?
I don't think so.
Can you say his last name for everybody?
Monongye. David Monongye. Yes, that's how you spell it.
And do you know, was it ever told to you how he gained the name Grandfather?
Oh, when elders get old, they definitely are respected with that name. And in Hopi, what we called him was Kwangwakwa'a. And Kwangwakwa'a means sweet grandfather. So David Milgram and I, we referred to him as Kwangwakwa'a.
Hey, can we walk in the light and get a better picture of him here?
Yeah, this one's a little bit dark.
Let's see if we can get a real good shot of him here in the light. I don't know. I guess that's here. Let me hold the book and see if we can get the light to behave itself here. It's really hard. Well, we tried, everybody. There he is.
Well, we had there were pictures that were taken at the Rainbow Gathering, so
yeah,
that's awfully nice.
There's pictures in the other video.
And then here is, in this book also, the Prophecy Rock.
Oh yeah.
It's right like that.
There it is. And you said the other day, I think this Prophecy Rock is known to be, what, 1,100 years old or something?
Yeah. So I'm going to read to you in here. This is the words of the elders themselves about it. So the drawing that follows is a famous road plan pictograph drawn on a rock wall near Oribe. It's on a big, huge rock. after it was first given to the Hopis back in 1100 A.D. Since that time, it has been consulted at regular intervals by the leaders of Oraibi and then of Hotevilla. The figure at the lower left is Masao, holding his familiar torch in his right hand. With his left hand, he holds the reed through which the Hopi emerged onto the surface of the earth thousands of years ago. The circle to the right of the reed represents the fourth cycle of the world, which just ended December 21st, 2012. But we're now in the transition time. The rectangle is the sipapu, through which the emergence was completed, and the opening through which communication is maintained by all generations. This is the oral communication that's passed on and taught. The upper straight line emerging from the rectangle is the materialistic path, followed by many people. Notice that they hold hands to indicate their unified commitment to the materialistic way of life. It ends in the wavy line that indicates chaos, and this wavy line is called the zigzag path to annihilation. And when I was up at Standing Rock, one of the things that the Lakota called the pipeline was the black snake. And I woke up one morning, I went, wow. The zigzag path to annihilation and the black snake are one and the same. So we're fighting this. The lower straight, the zigzag path to annihilation ends and indicates, with a wavy line, and indicates chaos. The lower straight line is the path the Hopis are told to follow. It is the narrow beam the traditionalists walk. It ends at an elderly man standing in a tall cornfield. He symbolizes peace and prosperity, awaiting those who remain faithful. Along this line, however, there are 3 circles and a vertical line. The 3 circles represent the prophesied major world conflicts. The first 2 have been fulfilled. The last one is yet to come. After the first 2 is a vertical line that connects the 2 horizontal lines, this little vertical line here. It represents the prophesied exodus of Hopi, who give in to temptation, become progressives, and abandon the ancient faith. Note that it happens before the 3rd circle, which shows the plain fulfillment of another prophecy in its proper historical sequence. The road plan is both a warning and a herald of hope. It tells what we should be planned for.